We are back at the skate park today, and it's probably been 6 or 7 months since I've skated a real rail at all. So the fear is immediately back. And I was testing it out, and I could feel like some kind of metal on metal action. It was probably just debris, but it was skating way slower than I remember. And my confidence was absolutely shot. I will say that it didn't take me as long to get a nice little sole grind as I expected, but while I was skating, it didn't seem to do much to help my confidence. You're gonna see that that's kind of a theme this session. And you know, when you're skating rails, it's all about confidence. You just have to commit to getting completely on top. And right there was like the opposite of commitment. That was the first real attempt, I would say. And you can hear like the little bit of crunching going on. And on my third attempt, I made it all the way to the end. I should have been happy with that, but for some reason, it did nothing for my confidence. And then the next attempt, that happens. So mentally, I was back to square one. Which is fine. I gotta understand it's been like 6 months since I've skated a rail, so I just need to go back to the skate park again, or any skate park with a rail, and just keep doing it. The issue is confidence. It's not ability, and I find something that helps me is watching a lot of old videos of myself skating right before I start skating, which is not something I did this session. I have to like convince myself that I can do something. Like if I watch certain reels from probably about 8-9 months ago, I was doing tons of switch ups and basically all of my tricks on this rail all the way through. It's because as soon as I got that first sole grind, I would move on to the next trick. But right now, because my confidence isn't quite there yet, because of things like that, I'm getting a little bit more scared on approach. Right there, I got all the way to the end, but even then I wasn't happy with it. I did try an acid grind right there. Everyone else starts trying new stuff, so I figured it's time to move on, even though mentally I really wasn't there yet. I wasn't really happy with the sole grind that I got. Back in the day, I would be happy with that acid grind, but nowadays I am not. That's another thing that I'm battling with, is having higher standards for myself. It affects me when I'm skating because I'm not accumulating little wins. When I was a little bit worse at skating, every time I landed a trick at all, even if I didn't get all the way to the end, I would still be happy about it, and it would help me. It would build confidence into the next attempt, and the confidence would just build over the session. But now, I don't feel quite as much from that. But I certainly felt that. And that's what you feel when you're lacking confidence. Just kind of get thrown into there, and I didn't jump at all. If you watch the replay again, I go up and straighten my legs out and just hit the side of the rail and go down. Got a huge, nasty, rainbow-colored bruise on my hip, like stomach area on the left side, or on the right side, but it's not too bad. You can see right there across my body. That did not feel good and completely nuked all the confidence that I had been slightly building, even though it wasn't much there to begin with. You can see me in the background kind of just sitting around, trying to get my wits back under me. But we got back out there. It was moving really slow, and I was kind of struggling to get my head back in the game. So I believe we're about to move on to the ledge here soon. I probably should have thrown up a back farv and a back unity, because groove tricks are always easier on rails for me, but it just takes a lot of commitment. But whenever I watch any video of me in the past skating rails, it's always the groove tricks that are the easiest for me, and the sole tricks are the hardest. I think it's just because when I'm skating groove tricks a lot, I rely on the frame to lock me in. So it doesn't take a lot of commitment to lock into your frame as much as it does on the sole plate, at least for me. I find it easier to get right on top of my frame because the only time you're getting on the H block is if you're on top of it, the rail. But with the sole, it's like I jump from the side and push sideways into the rail, and then there's nothing on the other side. There's no coping box to catch me, so I start pulling my body back the other way. So my momentum is fighting itself. You can see it right there perfectly. I could have just continued to dip into it and sink into the sole grind, but I got scared and pushed away. And when I start pushing away, you get off the rail. And I did that there, but I think that's why I ended up falling on that attempt, is because I was leaning away from the rail towards the end. I was trying to get off it early. And that was me trying to overcorrect it, where I was trying to lean too far in, and then I jumped off early because I got too deep. It's all such a mental game. And I remember talking to them during this session where probably like 6-7 months ago, when I was skating every single day, getting a sole grind like that, which felt really good, would only take me 3 or 4 attempts, and then I would be able to move on quickly. But today, because I had no confidence, even though I got a kind of okay sole grind within my first 3-4 attempts, it did nothing for me.
3 more tries.
Just proof that this whole thing is so mental for me. It might not be mental for everybody else, but I think you guys can see in this session, especially on the rail, that I'm not skating as well as I can skate and I have in the past. And it's not because of lack of ability or anything. It's just pure mental fortitude. I was trying to convince myself I could do it instead of believing I could. And also, this rail sucks. Everybody says this rail is tough to stay on and it skates weird. But Jimmy has no problem with it. So usually when I notice him having a little bit more trouble than he normally has, it makes me feel a little bit better in terms of my own abilities, but that quickly stopped because he got pretty warmed up and started throwing some sick tricks. Oh, I should have had it there, but right now I think I'm still going for the back sole, or sole grind to back unity, but I'm getting too far deep into it and I'm not trusting my legs. That's another example of a grind that I would have been happy with back in the day. Oh, but I wasn't happy with it, which led to me losing confidence, which led to me doing that. Man, that was pretty though. And now we get back in my comfort zone, which is skating the ledge. I've been struggling a little bit on my back farves to get them turned all the way. I noticed on my sways, I probably had my best back farves, and I think it's because on these thems, the groove on the sole plate is a little bit farther set back. So I have to really push my heel on top of the ledge. It'll be good for me. I need to start turning my shoulders and my hips more. It's just, you know, it's always been a problem. It's been a theme since I started skating. I've never been much of a spinner, and I don't have the natural base for rollerblading like a lot of people do when they start aggressive. Like, I never had my own real pair of rollerblades. The only time I ever rollerbladed in my life before 2.5 years ago was rental skates at the skate rink, United Skates of America, when I was little. So things, even when they feel good and look good, they still are kind of unique and foreign to me, if that makes sense. That one felt good. But I definitely like these sole plates, except for the backslide groove. I've tried it with a bunch of different setups, and when the backslide groove is set back a little bit, I don't prefer it that much. It just feels like it's not in the right spot for me, which is fine because eventually it just gets grooved in anyway. Like right now, it's starting to get into the right spot, but I think that's why I felt like these sole plates have taken forever for me to break in. is because the toe side of the groove on the sole plate, like the corner of it that's closer to the toes, is basically non-existent. It's there for you to make yourself, which is really good for most people, I would say, that have an ability to do their tricks over and over and over again in a repeated, controlled manner, where they can create a groove that's set up perfectly for them. But I'm still not at that point. I've noticed that sometimes I really rely on the corners of my grooves instead of the center of it. Like, I'm hooking onto the edge of the groove of the backslide and the edge of my H block on the frame instead of just being right down the middle of it. I wonder if that could be an issue with me skating such a large H block with the Kizer Fluid 4s, because you do not have to be precise in terms of that. So I wonder if I start skating the FR OC frames again, if that would help a little bit. Because I went back and I watched a lot of my videos from when I was skating the FR OC frames, and all my grinds are way more centered because I just had to be. Because the groove is just more narrow. It's not even about the wheel split, it's just about the actual groove that allows me to sit into a grind and hug a ledge. The bigger it is, the more I tend to use either side of it, which puts me kind of off balance, either too far forward or too far back. And I notice on these thems, I tend to be a little bit too far forward where there is no definition on the groove. Right there, I was down center. At this point, my feet are hurting pretty bad on the left side. I'm not sure why, but I'd like to think it's just because I took a bunch of slams and was very uncomfortable, so I was straining my feet awkwardly. But the type of pain that I was feeling at this point was the type of pain that made me move away from other skates. So hopefully that doesn't continue, because these were feeling pretty pain-free until recently. Trying to do a good torque sole, but those kind of left me on ledges. I really benefit from a large sole plate for torque soles. Really all tricks. I like having a large sole plate. The Faction sole is a solid like 45 millimeters, and the 901 sole I think is 35. So it's a pretty big difference. And I can feel quite a bit of difference on groove tricks. But I am using like the easiest frames possible, so it shouldn't be too bad, but that looked like shit. And these sole plates are definitely not small. It's just I like big dinner plate sole plates, I've decided. With that being said, I will see you guys next time. These are lowlights from me, highlights from them. Peace.